Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. I apologize for the lack of updates, guys. It's been a crazy few days for me over the weekend. I've had my family in town. They are still in town. Wasn't even going to do an update today, guys, but we've had some crazy moves in Bitcoin. So I wanted to make sure I got at least something out to you here. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. Again, looking at the 4-hour chart, guys, as we discussed last time we spoke, I believe we were sitting right here at about 82, coming into this zone, 8,200. We had just broken out up here. We were just testing this area of resistance, guys. And as I told you on the last update, we were looking for an open and close above 8150, assuming that on the 4-hour chart. Assuming that happened, guys, I told you that we were going to continue up, very likely going to come up and test 8,500. 8,500 got taken out, guys. I said we were very likely going to create a new high. That's exactly what happened. Price came up here. We got that open and close. In fact, I talked with a few of you on via comments discussing what to do. Congratulations if you did end up buying in. And of course, price came down here, a little bit of a fake out to the downside, and then we just exploded up here. Briefly paused at 8,500, and then again another explosion right above 8,500, which is exactly the kind of move you want to see anytime you're clearing what should be a decent area of resistance. You want to see a nice explosive break above, and that's exactly what we had. Now, all of that being said, guys, this move, looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see this move has been all done on basically, let me bring out the volume here, on basically very little volume. And that's relatively speaking. Again, guys, if I look back over the last 6 months, certainly we've increased volume exponentially over the last 6 months. But if I'm just looking over the last few months, the last 1 to 2 months, we've not seen the kind of breakout in volume that I'd like to see here for a nice sustainable continuation to the upside here. In other words, we are still seeing a little bit of weakness in the market here, and we have ever since we had kind of this top out at about 8,500. Now Bitcoin's been able to rally each time, but you can see the rally, you can see the difference in the rally with Bitcoin in the past here and here versus here. We've had a lot of consolidation sideways. We've had a 21% correction here, 18% correction here, and now actually we've got pretty much almost the most bullish since this move here on May the 11th all the way through May the 14th. Actually, let's see, May the 3rd. Sorry, I don't know why I said May the 11th. May the 3rd through May the 14th. We are seeing, some decent parabolic movements here, guys. We are getting hung up a little bit here, but the difference between May the 11th and this current run up here is volume. If I go back here and I look at volume today, we're sitting at about 20. Well, let me refresh this so I have the most current numbers here. Right, we're sitting at about 20.4 billion for the day. If we go back and we look at May the 11th, let me just bring all this up. Looking at May the 11th, we were sitting at what? May the 11th through that, what did I say? May the 11th through about May 19th-ish, something like that. Yeah, we had a run up from 19 to 20, and then we hit 28 billion, 27 billion, 28, 32 billion, 33 billion. So, comparatively, we're about a third of where we were volume-wise, daily volume-wise, where we were back then. Does that mean this thing can't continue to go up? No, doesn't mean that at all, guys. And I do believe that there's a good chance that we are going to continue up. We're moving sideways here, taking a little bit of a breather. But if I come in here and I measure longs versus shorts, let me just zoom in here to the 4-hour. Shorts are basically going parabolic here. Shorts are just taking off. Let's look at longs. Longs, a little bit more of a consolidatory pattern, a little more sideways pattern, but still moving up here, no question about it. A little bit of weakness here over the last 24 hours, but still overall moving up. But we've got longs outpacing shorts, shorts outpacing longs. Shorts are outpacing longs by a decent amount, not too substantial, but the degree at which shorts are stacking are certainly far and away greater than what longs are doing, guys. And this does suggest anytime you see a parabolic move like this in shorts, especially when longs are not following suit, you really want to start looking at the potential, a very real potential of a short squeeze here. And how do you squeeze shorts, guys? Well, obviously you squeeze shorts by driving price up. And I do believe that not just based on that, but that is one piece of the puzzle that I'm certainly keeping an eye on that would suggest we may in fact come up here and test this $9,700 to $9,900 range. And if I pull out here to the weekly, actually let me pull out here to the monthly. You can kind of see why we're getting hung up where we are right now. You can see that we're if we just look at the body back here in April and May of 2018, we're now coming up and hitting that almost to the T. If I, again, just looking at the body here, almost to the T. And this is why I believe we're getting a little bit hung up right here between 93 and 9400. Now, could this potentially be a top? It could, but I mean, well, I don't want to say any short-term movement. Looking at the monthly chart, there's no question this is bullish, guys. This is long-term bullish. Again, I do believe the bull run has begun. I don't think you can say that it hasn't as of now. I mean, just looking at the chart, could anything happen? Yes. Could this thing come back down to $4,000, $3,000, $2,000? Yes. Is it probable? I don't think so. I don't think so. So if I continue to move in here on the weekly, we can see that we're getting, this is the area that I would expect to get rejected at, right here, the body on the weekly chart between, and I pointed this out, I don't know if it wasn't on the last update, it was on the one before that. That's going to be between 9,400 and 9,600. This is the area I'm expecting a fairly strong rejection. Now, we've already hit the bottom of that zone. I think we came up to, what was it earlier today? 94, what was the high? 94.30. So that was just the bottom of that zone. It looks to me like it wants to test at least 9,600. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, especially if shorts continue to stay stacked like this. I would not be surprised if price continues up here all the way up to this 9,900, maybe even peaking above 10,000. We'll have to wait and see how it ends up playing out. But I do believe we need to clear 9,600 first. I do believe 9,600 is going to be a major pivot between 94 and 9,600, guys. Potentially could be a top. Am I going to be a buyer here? No. If we get let me zoom in here to the daily. If we get a daily candle, both opening and closing into this zone here, and I would even accept a daily candle opening and closing above 9,400. If we get a daily candle both opening and closing above 9,400, guys, again, I do think that very likely we're going to come up here and test at least 9,900, if not this $10,000 region. And I don't think it's going to reject right at $10,000. I think it would either reject around 99 to 99.50 or up above right around 10.2 to 10.3. I think a rejection would come somewhere in there if it is going to reject. I very seriously doubt we're going to come right up to $10,000 to the tick. Looking at the weekly, back out at the weekly, guys. As I said, looking at a possible rejection here right around 94 to 9,600, somewhere in this zone. So it's a bit of a risky buy. And again, I'm not saying we are topping out here. I'm just saying this is the area I'm going to be watching very, very closely. If we can take out 9,600 to the upside, I do think that we take a shot very likely at this 99 to 99.50. Or we just completely break out above 10,000, and then I'm going to be looking for a potential right up in this area, right where these prior two wicks closed back on February 12th, the week of February 12th and February 19th. That's going to be right around 10,350. I would expect if we do clear above 10,000 that we're going to very quickly come up to about 10,350, and at that point I'd look for another area of resistance and wait and see how price reacts right there. But we are again hitting a potential area of resistance, and we are seeing that we are seeing some confluence between that and the weekly RSI as well as the weekly MACD. Weekly MACD is showing a little bit of bearish divergence, again just slight. We're also seeing it just slightly on the RSI. We have yet to close, so again this is just showing some leg here. This is not yet confirmed, but it is suggesting we may get a little bit of bearish divergence there, and that again would suggest possibly starting to top out, possibly coming back down and retesting. I would say about let's see, probably anywhere between 8,600 to approximately 8,500 on the retest. Let me come back here to the daily. Looking at the daily RSI is suggesting possible double top here right around 70, just starting to reach the overbought territory here. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Daily MACD actually looks pretty bullish. We just got across to the upside, signal line crossing over the MACD line there, histogram crossing up. So again, looking potentially looking bullish here, but I don't want to read too much into that. Let's go ahead and look at. Looking at the 4-hour chart, guys, zooming in on the 4-hour, yeah, 4-hour is also suggesting some bearish divergence here, guys. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we did come back down here and test about at least 9,000. If we do get a 4-hour well, more like about 8,920. If we get a 4-hour candle, both opening and closing, a decisive break on the 4-hour, both opening and closing below about 8,900, I do think we come back down and at least test 8,650, if not this $8,500 zone. And coincidentally or not so coincidentally, depending on what you believe, let me pull up CMEs here. And we can see on CMEs, guys, we've talked about this chart in the past. CMEs, you guys know about this gap. We've discussed it between 7,200 and 7,450. Again, in all probability, sometime in the future here, we are going to come back down to close this gap between 7,200 and 7,450. The higher price goes, guys, the more I think that once we get that larger 35, 45% correction, guys, it's going to end up down here, somewhere down here between 72 and 75 and 74.50. Shorter term, though, guys, the reason I'm pointing out that $8,500 to $8,700 zone is we just have a fresh gap here, also on CME between about 9,000 and 8,500, which again, as I just discussed, guys, would bring us down to our target of approximately 8,500 to 8,700, somewhere in that neighborhood, guys. But certainly, probability tells us that we would come down and close this gap as well as this gap down here. Now, do they both need to close at the same time? Could we get a temporary correction down here to 8,500 and continue to the upside? Absolutely. No question about it, guys. There's no time limit on this, but at some point in the future, this gap will very likely, very probably get filled. Does it have to happen? No. Is it probably going to happen? Yes. All right, checking our moving averages, exponential moving average, Bollinger Bands here, guys. With last time we spoke, guys, again, we were sitting right up here, so just looking for that fresh breakout, guys. I told you we were seeing the bottlenecking of the Bollinger Bands here on the 4-hour chart, as well as the moving averages and exponential moving averages all converging on one another, guys. I told you this was a recipe for a larger move, and sure enough, we have seen now that larger move follow through. Looking at the daily chart, guys, which is more important than the 4-hour, especially when we're thinking long-term here, we are testing the top of the Bollinger Bands here, so again, another area that's telling you we may find some potential resistance here. But if this can push up here, if this can continue here, the fact that we are pushing the top of the Bollinger Bands here does tell me that some strength is pushing into the is entering back into this market here, guys. So let's wait and see if this is if we get some follow through with some volume here and we can stretch these Bollinger Bands out here. So we're starting to see that on the daily chart. We're well above the 8-day EMA here. We never had. Remember, I was talking about the 8-day exponential crossing below the 21-day exponential here. That never happened. It came all the way down to and right on top of it, but we never had that cross below that 21 exponential here. So again, guys, showing some serious strength in the market here, guys, at least temporarily, and I'm going to be watching that very closely. If and when we ever do get an 8-day crossing below the 21 exponential, that may be your signal that we're starting that larger correction. But again, we're not seeing that as of yet, guys. In fact, we're starting to see some more room, some more light of day in between the 8 and the 21, and certainly we've had a continuous light of day between the 55 and the 21 here, guys. So all of that is bullish. Let's come out here to the weekly. Weekly also starting to push the outer Bollinger Bands here, just very slightly, not nearly to the degree that we were. So we really need to see some volume enter back into this market here, guys. But doesn't mean it can't go. I mean, we are still very bullish, well above the 8-week EMA here, guys. So the 21 on top of the 55, which the 8 on top of the 21, which is on top of the 55, all bullish here, guys. Nothing bearish about this. All right, so to wrap this thing up in a bow, guys, how am I going to trade this? To the upside, if we get a 4-hour candle, both opening and closing, above, above 9,400, that might be your first signal to front run this thing and at least get a quick scalp into about 9,600. But not until we clear 9,600 decisively. By decisively, I mean a 4-hour candle opening and closing above 9,600. Not until that happens do I believe we're going to come up here and test at least 9,900 to 9,950, and that'll be very telling to see how price reacts off that zone. But certainly some potential for a very quick scalp. If you're a more conservative trader, guys, I would wait for a daily candle to both open and close above 9,400. Again, you may lose a little bit of you may not get that front run in, guys. You may lose a little bit of potential profit there, guys, but you're also protecting your capital here. So just be very, very careful. Again, none of this is financial advice, not a financial advisor, guys. You do whatever you want to do. Just kind of telling you what I'm doing. To the downside, guys, I'm going to be watching for a decisive break below about 8,800. If actually about 80. 88.50. If we get a 4-hour candle opening and closing below 88.50, I do think that very likely we're going to come back down here to about to test about 8,500, and I'll very likely short it. And I'd probably get out. I wouldn't get out right at 8,500. I'd probably get out around 8,600 to 85.50, depending. But the target would be 8,500. I just know there's going to be everybody's going to be targeting that, so you want to get out a little bit early. I very likely would front run that, guys. But yeah, I'm going to be looking for an open and close below about 88.50 for a possible short. Now, does that mean I definitely will? No, it'll depend on volumes. It'll depend on how longs versus shorts are looking. But as of right now, guys, that's going to be the signal that I'm watching for. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, we appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin. Signing out.